How's your day so far?
How's my day so far? It could have been better, to be honest.
Could have been better. Well, hopefully it gets a little bit better right now.
Yeah, let's hope so.
So, all right, let's get to it. I know you're a busy guy, but so all right, everybody. I'd like to welcome Chris Zaknun. It's Zaknun, right?
Zaknun. Yeah, you can just call me Zach. Just call me Zach.
Zach. All right,
Yeah,
everybody. I'd like
easy.
to welcome Zach, the CEO and founder of DAO Maker, which is one of the biggest crypto launchpads in the world. He's been in crypto for years, and he started DAO Maker back in 2019. How's it going today?
It's going well, just like putting out the fires,
Putting
daily
off the
business.
fires. Well, so
Yeah.
Pedro was just telling me that you're out to dinner. Where are you at right now?
Well, I'm back in the office, so I ran in. I said, okay, because we wanted to eat somewhere else outside. Then it started raining, so we walked around. Then it's a long story. Anyway, I
Long.
ended up eating too long, and I'm late now. I'm sorry.
Where are you located right now?
The office is here in Prague, so we have two offices, one in Prague and one in Dubai.
Okay, so you're in Prague.
Yes.
I have you. So I went to Prague a couple of years ago, and what's the name of that like five-story club?
Yeah,
Carlin
wait, everybody knows about that one.
Car
Everybody just calls it Five Story Club. I forgot
five-story
the name
club.
myself.
Are you
It's
do
been
you
so
find
long
yourself
now
there?
that hasn't opened in 3 years
Oh,
because the tourism is the only people who go to that club, and because of Corona, it's been a while.
okay. Well, all right. So I guess you don't find yourself at that club if it's not open.
The last time I went there was after my high school graduation, which was quite a while ago.
All right, all right. Well, when I went there, I had a great time on like the dance floor, the disco dance floor.
Which
Um,
one? The disco one? The
yeah.
tiles?
Well, there's like the
Yeah, that
ice
one.
one, and then you go up, and then next thing I knew, I was moving and grooving in the on the disco dance floor. But
Well, if you come to Prague, I'll show you better places. You're
Zach,
gonna have a good time.
I'm gonna have to take you up on that one because I'm ready to go
Yeah,
to
sure.
Prague. I'm ready. I love that place. I could talk all day about Prague. I did Budapest, Vienna, Prague. I'd spent like a month over there just enjoying life and probably drinking a couple too many tequilas. Um, but so so let's rewind a little bit, right, Zach? Can you tell us a little bit about how you created DAO Maker, like the story behind that?
Yeah, sure. Well, DAO Maker is it's more of a ongoing kind of thing. Is questioning when exactly the DAO Maker starts. So if you can see in the background here, this is the DAO Maker logo and some people in the background. Actually, it's a good thing to showcase. So because you can see here a lot of the history of our company. So over here you see like L2 Network and you see Elrond, and it's actually filled in comics kind of stuff with all the companies that we helped step by step. Um, but I guess it started all the way back in 17. At this time I was studying medicine, and I got very much into crypto and ICOs long before ICOs were anything. And it
Hmm.
was like ICOs at the time where there were like a handful of different ICOs, and the boom of nobody ever really made a lot of money in a fast manner of ICOs. That happened much later. So some people figured out how to invest in ICOs and the stuff which is now basics, low inflation and good metrics. Nobody understood that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
So there was a bunch of people who looked into all the data, and they tried to hack the system, hack in a way to be like, okay, if I put $1,000 into this and this and this and this, can I increase my chances if I look into analysis of data? And we did, and made a lot of money. We were one of the main. This group of people was one of the main reasons, if not the main reason, of the ICO boom. A few more, like 6 months later. At the
Hmm.
time, I was like, "Lol, it's like crazy. Like, when is this gonna get harder? Because more people are gonna want to do this too." It took about 4 months until the place got really congested,
Hmm.
and it got really hard to get into these ICOs, especially the ones which were potentially good. And towards the end of 2013, everything collapsed.
Right. With
But at the time, I split from the group away, and I said, let's do my own thing here because I didn't like the way they did their decisions. And I made a Twitter channel called ICO_dog. That's why the dog, still the
right.
logo.
I was wondering that was going to be one of. I was like, why is that? So I guess it stems from this Twitter you
It's
created.
just, you see, essentially the dog is these three lines, which are supposed to represent the trading chart. So if you don't see that it's a dog, you don't know it's a dog. It just looks like the trading candles. But for the people, the community that has been with me and everybody else for 4 years, they know it. Um, so in 2018, people asked in Twitter, can you please get us into these ICOs? Because it got really hard. VCs took over the space, and the small guys, which all made money and got used to it, didn't get in. So me and a few other people started to create this thing called Crypto Telegram, which is a huge setting now.
Right.
But Crypto Telegram really didn't really exist much in 2000, mid 17, 18. The main reason why people have these Telegram groups is because of the pools, which were a group of, Telegram channels where people can like throw money at random people and random strangers and hope they're not going to get scammed.
Okay.
And because all the ICO investors were on Telegram, because of the pools, the ICO started to become a go-to Telegram too, because that's where their target audience is. So the target audience followed the hype, and then there was several big pools, and one of the biggest pools was ICO Dog, which was a platform for getting into ICOs, aka a launchpad.
Right.
So we invented one of the first launchpads, maybe the second one, in 2018.
So this is in 2018, right? So you see in 2017,
Yeah.
You were in the crypto world, you were interested in it, and you saw firsthand this ICO boom as well as the bust. And then what did you see from that boom and bust where you're like, this is what we need to change, and this is what we're going to do to change it?
Sure. So it was pretty predictable that that being in IDOs, for me it's ICO, was the right place to be at the right time, because in 16 ICOs raised 300 million, in 17 they raised 100 million, in 18 they raised 50 million, in 19 they raised 10 million, and in 2020 they raised 5 million, and now they're raising 2 million. So there was a very clear line to be like, okay, at this time they're gonna be like really good investments. Because they don't need fucking 500 million. They don't need 50 million. They need 2 million. It's a startup. It's a seed investment. So it was very clear for everybody to see, but there were always people to try to get into the primary market. So, there's the exchange of secondary market with a primary market. And we just said, okay, it's going to take a few years, but let's just continue building out value propositions for these companies, build out our expertise, build out our network and our knowledge, so that once we get to this point where they are actually valued the way they're supposed to be, we will be at the right time at the right place.
Okay, so you saw these coin offerings in 2017, and they were overvalued. They were at this 300. They were
crazy overvalued. Even at the time in 17, everything pumped. But if you look at the chart, you can see that there is no liquidity. So they pumped no liquidity because there was no real retail prior to 17. So no one ever knew that you're supposed to sell or that you can. So no liquidity and a bunch of it was like the craziest hodl community. 17 was like the craziest hodlers because no one even knew that things go down because it never ever went down before.
Yeah.
There was no real, because before that you had these altcoins and you had ETH and you had Bitcoin, but there was no ICOs. ICOs go.
Right.
That was like the first time.
Yeah,
all the people saw was up.
Yeah, you're like, why would I ever sell this thing? It never goes down. And it was such a new asset class that like there was no history to draw on. So these hodlers were like, legitimately, we're going to the moon. There's no other possibility. And then you didn't go to the moon. So you saw this
thing, right?
So you saw this trajectory, right, where it increased and then it slowly decreased, and now it's kind of to this would you say almost stable
well, now we got to the point where in 2021 where gatekeepers took over. Back in 17, you get a marketing agency and you can just raise funds. Well, a lot of funds, enough funds to just market exit. $20-30 million, you're good. Now you get validated by launchpads. This was not the case before, right? It was just like nobody knew what the fuck was doing. No one was doing the diligence. Everything hit the retail. You can like market anything, but it doesn't work that way. It doesn't really work. So you can have CoinList. CoinList is considered like the really good stamp of approval. Of CoinList, and it's something good because it's Solana and a bunch of other stuff. And then there's DAO Maker, which does more, and we also do diligence. And then there's like the AAA, BBB plus, CCC plus, and you kind of know it, right? People don't. There's no rules written down this way, but they know if it ends up at this launchpad, it's like garbage, or if it's on this one, it's really good. And that's like an unspoken rule that people realized, and it's really good for the industry.
So basically,
it ensures
I guess just to like understand it for somebody who's trying to visualize what a launch pad is, right? If you look in 2017, you have no gatekeepers. Anybody who is anybody could raise money, but now the consumers themselves are more educated. So then DAO Maker themselves, they are, that gatekeeper. They're like, okay, not everybody can get through here. We're going to vet them. And then if we do our vetting process and then launch them as a consumer, I can be more confident that this product is actually legitimate.
Correct. So people have to understand that launch pads do not really raise funds because the majority of the funds raised is from private sale investors who still ape into most of these ICOs. But most of the money, which is then transferred, is on the secondary market, on the exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
And the exchanges do look into launch pads nowadays. So if you don't have a good launch, meaning not high volume and interest, then you probably won't be able to have a lot of secondary buying on the exchange,
Mm-hmm.
which is where most people do get scammed. They don't get actually scammed on like raising funds. So consider raising funds is like you can just press buy, but you can't press sell.
Okay.
So we make sure that once you go to the secondary market where people actually buy the token, so you buy a bunch, I give you this fake money, which is a bullshit token, you give me your real money, which is ETH on the secondary market. I do believe that this is happening a lot less frequently, a lot less value is being extracted from the industry. It kind of got really amplified with Elon Musk and the Doge coins and the dog coins. I think people wanted to buy into Ponzi's
Mm-hmm.
using legitimate companies. You had to kind of get an idea. And once these launchpads came out and they vetted realistic good companies, people said, fuck it, let's just, all agree that we all like Ponzi's. It's obvious that Elon Gate or Doge Baby is a fucking Ponzi scheme, right? But they had most of the volume because people stopped lying to themselves saying, I want to invest in something legitimate. I just want to get a Ponzi and hope that I get in and out fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole new kind of thing that evolved because of these launchpads,
Mm-hmm.
which then again ended up scamming everybody.
These Ponzi's and everything. So now,
Yeah.
there's all these different launch pads. What makes DAO Maker special?
I guess we work harder. So Launchpad, the Launchpad is a tip of the ice. You can have two types of Launchpads. The ones which are decentralized and they just offer a Uniswap that does not increase the price. Like from the technical perspective, let's say Polkastarter is just a smart contract which has a group of multi-signatures together that can approve a contract address. So let's say if a bunch of people sign this contract, then this contract can do a host on Polkastarter. It's perfectly decentralized. At the same time, it means that there's no actual support from a company, even in a legal setting. There's other companies like CoinList or Ignition, where they have whole teams in the incubation process, where if you go on the Launchpad, it's more of a way to present the companies that we or them have incubated, invested, etc. DAO Maker is a company which is in the front a Launchpad and in the back end a accelerator. So we help companies with exchange listings, with narrative, rebranding, token economics. Many of the companies we launched, we literally named them, or we renamed them. So it's like really
What
ground up work.
DAO Maker provides both services. They're basically like, come to us and we're going to amplify your project because we have this experience and this expertise.
We make sure that the company has something to bring to the table. Usually it's very qualified devs or a specific idea. And then we say, okay, you are very qualified. And we try to eliminate the 50 same reasons that kill most companies.
Right.
There's like 3, 4, 5,000 coins.
What
and there's only 300 coins of volume.
You touched on it, and you're making sure these different things. What are the vetting processes? What are the vetting processes for DAO Maker?
Sure. So when we look into a company, one of the things which is really important if you have some kind of intuition when it comes to people. I mean, maybe you do, or some other people. I can tell something is a bit shady. Like I have a bad feeling about it. I think a lot of people have the ability to do this, but most people don't have the privilege to just like literally talk to a founder.
Right.
And that's just the first thing, does this guy feel shady?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a 1 hour call. We ask him, we roast them, we see if they're like full of shit or not. Since we really know crypto really well, DeFi really well, all blockchain stuff really well, we can tell if someone's full of shit or not. So we just try to see if they are true to what they want to build.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're not even qualified enough to hold themselves in a debate against us, they're out. Once the debate is done, we do look into the product, technology. We often sign NDAs to sign into private GitHubs. Then we try to call some people and see if there's some background check. Maybe did this guy do anything shady in the past? If they had a failed company, it doesn't mean that they're doing badly. Maybe just running a coin is very difficult.
Right.
Sometimes having an old coin is actually a good thing because it means that they learn from their mistakes. And then we just look into the 3 core metrics for us, which is valuation, liquidity, and volume. Valuation is an indication of the amount of people buying it. So the market cap, price is actually defined by valuation and not market cap. So it's X. Volume is the amount of people who are approving that valuation. Saying if you have $1 billion coin and $100,000 volume, then it's kind of irrelevant because a very small group of people actually approve your valuation. However, if you have $1 billion coin and $100 million volume on the day, then it's kind of agreed that everybody says, I'm willing to trade you at this price.
Okay.
And get breaking on. And the third thing is liquidity, which goes into the second point. Liquidity is when people deposit Ethereum or stablecoins into an automated market maker, a Uniswap or PancakeSwap, and they really put faith in your coin. Because if your coin goes down a lot, then they are forced to buy it and continuously losing money through impermanent loss. And eventually impermanent loss turns to permanent loss because the coin has, again, no volume.
Right.
We are really about trying to protect the people who come after us. It's not really our users, because it's a very small group who win the shows. So the biggest amount of people we touch is the people who actually put liquidity into the product, who buy it on the exchanges. That's why we have about 1.5 million traffic a month and 400,000 users, because very few win the show, but very many people look into what we do and then buy it accordingly.
So for the liquidity, so on those 3 points, right? This liquidity, when you're vetting these projects, how can you anticipate like what the liquidity would be for a project that's before it's actually been launched?
Every time we do a sale, we often like to work with companies very early on, before they raise money, before they solidify their metrics. And what we invented is something called advanced token metrics, in which we look into how will the token play out realistically. We can do this by saying who are the investors. If they're crap VCs, they're gonna flip. If they're because we monitor everybody. So we look at their on-chain behavior of the past to predict their future output. Using this, we are pretty good at evaluating how good a company will do. Obviously, we're not magicians, but the more data we have and the more experience we have, the easier it is for us to be like, okay, this is gonna be the valuation is gonna go to 25 million. Given to this, we then start meddling the metrics with the end in sight. And then we say, okay, we need an X amount of liquidity. For example, we try to never go above 15% liquidity deposits compared to market cap.
Okay.
So for the less crypto people, that means that the ETH and the tokens inside Uniswap or PancakeSwap collectively equals 15% of the market cap. So if the market was 100 million, then they should not have more than 50 million in the Uniswap PancakeSwap collectively. That is because if there's too much liquidity, it's very hard to go up. If there's too little, then people just dump you to shit. And we take a very trial and error approach. Every time we do a sale, we have a meeting, we take a look at what happened, how can we do it better, what can we improve, and then we look into the data.
So you effectively leverage history and your experience in the past to anticipate, because it's impossible to know beforehand what the liquidity is because it's not actually on the market yet.
Yes, but we can define it by creating these liquidity mining programs. So we can say in the metrics already that we plan to go on day 2 and create a liquidity and mining program and assume the APR will be 100%, because this project is like this great. The better the project, the less APR you need.
Yeah.
And then we can say we will release $30,000 of tokens every week, and we can assume that we will reach this level of liquidity. And every single time we do a sale, we get a little bit better at predicting it.
Mm-hmm. So on these sales, and can you mentioned it? Can you explain what a DAO Maker show is?
Sure. Well, let's start. I think we should have started that. So DAO Maker is a company which incubates new companies. We try to help new tokens and teams to not get wrecked. I like to tell people we're like the tour guide in the Wild West, and there's these tourists coming from England or Europe, and they have all these business ideas, and they were big guys in Europe, but they have no idea what they're doing here in the Wild West. And they think they're the bosses, and then they don't ask for help and get shot. They were in the bank robbery, dead, bitten by a snake, dead, trampled by a horse, dead. A lot of rules here apply that do not apply anywhere else. And we try to make sure that these companies which have good intentions do not die from unnecessary reasons before they can build whatever they want to build.
Mm-hmm.
Once we come to the conclusion that they are ready, we host them on our platform, which is a bit like Kickstarter or Indiegogo. However, the difference is it's not charity. On Indiegogo or Kickstarter, you just give money for free and maybe you get a product. in our platform, you get tokens in exchange, and we're working very much on equity, private equity in the future too, so that people can, whatever they want to invest in, they can do it on DAOmaker.com. Hopefully in the future, you have private equity, you have real estate, you have fund assets, and maybe in the future even synthetic stocks. Can really depend on how much we scale our user base. As of right now, we have aimed in the last 6 months to just dominate the token sale market, because it's a niche market that we can probably take over, which we have done. I think it's fair to say we are now besides CoinList, which does not have a token, so it's kind of hard to grade it. We are outcompeting every single other launchpad on almost every single major metric, such as market cap valuation, launches, volume, whatever you name it. And now that that's done, we try to incubate more projects and go for equity. A show is what we call a ICO. It's a stronghold offering. The name comes from the history that we used to offer people allocation if they held the last one for a long period of time. So if you held the last sale for a long period of time, then you're a strongholder, and you get into the next one. We stopped doing this because the demand of these sales got so big that we actually realized it's better to always switch people. And we created a system called DAO Power, which basically allows people to, if you win one of these sales and make 5, 6, 10x, you have to get back in line.
Okay.
Meaning your DAO power is depleted, and in order to participate in the sale, it needs to rebuild itself over some period of time. And people who have not won yet, their DAO power is still fully available, because it only gets used if you win.
So DAO Maker is trying to give an opportunity to everyone with DAO power.
Yes, as long as you pass the KYC.
As long as you pass the KYC, which for on this KYC, I know there's some. I'm in the United States, right? Can you explain the KYC process for DAO Maker?
Sure. We do block blacklisted sanctioned countries, such as Iran, Iraq, North Korea, people who usually use money for crypto for terrorist funding. We also cut jurisdictions which could be potentially threatening to our business model and like to sue people, such as Americans. That's just a quite common rule nowadays. Just don't allow Americans and you'll be fine. And for the rest of the situations, we are trying to unlock more and more jurisdictions by acquiring the official licensing required to do our business. Because we're not here to just make some money on the bull run. We are trying to become legal over the next 3 years on a global scale, which is very, very difficult because the regulation for crypto is fractured. And for us to do what we want to do, we need to get licensing and law firms and consulting for every single nation independently over and over again.
So DAO Maker's they're not looking short term, they're looking long term to survive this bull run and thrive, for years to come.
Yes.
Could you so now you mentioned that CoinList wasn't necessarily a comparable project because they don't have a token. Can you explain what the DAO Maker token is and what the plans are in the future?
I would like to call CoinList comparable token. It's just hard to evaluate the metrics because the token makes everything easier to evaluate. It's it's transparent. So what is a DAO token is the question.
Yep.
The DAO token is essentially a civil resistance mechanism that ensures that you don't get CoinList situations. What I mean by that is many of your viewers probably has participated in a CoinList sale because they're huge, and they are waiting in these lines called queue it. When you stand in CoinList, there's this little box pop up, and it says you are 3/3 millionth person waiting in this line, and 3 million of them are bots usually, because it's very easy to fake a IP address and just scam. I can show you. I can send you some all kinds of crazy videos of people trying to get in CoinList. It's kind of funny. What it's very hard to fake is value, because in the end you cannot fake it. If you have more value, you have a higher percentage chance. So value in our system is represented by DAO tokens. Just like Ethereum is used as gas transactions. Every time you send the Ethereum gas fee transactions, the gas fee goes slightly up. So if you want to spam the Ethereum network, it's going to cost you a lot of money. If you want to spam the CoinList network, they don't have a token, they don't have a civil resistance system, it's very easy. So for us, for every single ticket that you want to use to get into these sales, you have to have a certain amount of DAO, just like you need to have a certain amount of Ethereum to get into these sales, to make transactions. And this prevents people from multi-botting.
Okay, so it's
the primary use case for DAO. However, you can do all kinds of stuff. DAO you can also yield from, and DAO vaults. You can use DAO on SushiSwap, so you can stake DAO and earn sushi. So DAO is generally speaking a yielding token.
So
it's
it's a
like
yield
for
for the true utility, but it has like a network resiliency tool. As you mentioned, how Ethereum, like, you know, they, because of these gas fees, it's very difficult for them to, like, for a attacker to try and, you know, take out a part of the network because it's going to cost them a shit ton of money. Whereas, you know, for CoinList, you can just fake these IP addresses and there's really nothing about it. Whereas if DAO Maker, if you wanted to enter, what the DAO Maker token provides is resiliency for the DAO Maker platform, so that it's not a bunch of bots, it's actual people that want to win and want to support this ecosystem.
Yep.
And this, so these, so you can generate yield from it, and you can do all these different things. Now, the whole idea here with just like these coin offerings and these shows is a way for the individual to actually, you know, invest in a project at its infancy stage. Can you explain, you know, what is wrong with the current VCs?
Sure. We actually gonna lay out a new product soon that hopefully will kill most of them, because we realized we had a quite decent plan to monopolize the market, in no better word, which actually means democratize the market in our sense, because we're giving it from people to other people, or from very few to very many. The problem with VCs is VCs is a concept created actually in Silicon Valley from equity, where the investors become part of the team to make something successful, which makes a lot of sense. It was actually the birthright of most computers in the Silicon era. So Silicon Valley was co-created with the idea of VCs, with the co-founders of Silicon. Sisters. I'm not going to go into history lesson. The point is that if VCs invest in equity, it's usually a very illiquid asset that has an exit usually once a year or after multiple years. Once a year means if they have a seed round, round A, round B, and they can find other investors who are willing to buy up their shares, then they can get a somewhat liquid exit after 1 year. But often they have to wait until acquisition or IPO, which can often take a decade or longer, meaning there's a high amount of risk associated to it. Because if you do not get an exit, then you have a 0% return. If you look into ETH tokens, and let's say the most closest thing is crowdfunding equity platforms, most crowdfunding equity platforms have a 2% success rate, which means 98% of all the companies on the crowdfunding equity has a 0% return. You don't have 0% returns. You know, even if you get really wrecked, you still get like 2%, 3%, 5%, you know, minus 95%. You get even if you get rock pulled, you can still get some money out. So you never actually lose everything. In equity, it's very common that you lose everything. And for that reason, you need these big entities who are willing to risk it all in exchange for the big exits. Because if you manage to get an exit after 10 years, you're going to go big. Not 100x, but like 100,000x.
Yeah, a lot.
If you look at what was the seed valuation of Netflix to what's the current valuation? We're talking about 100,000x.
Yeah.
It's a huge, it's not what's the seed valuation of the IPO, because at the IPO, it's already 1,000x. So in this setting, VCs are very valuable and useful because you need partners for a long time who are willing to take a risk. In a hyper liquid industry such as token sales, they are not really incentivized correctly. So the incentive structure for VCs in the hyper liquid structures, try to find as many coins that you can, tell them to invest in them, and try to sell as fast as you can, which is the same system as in the equity space. But in order to sell, you need to get acquired or you need to have an IPO, which is very, very difficult. So they need to provide a lot of help. Whereas here, it's not that hard. You just have to make a Uniswap pool, and you can instantly sell your tokens. So what happens, instead of them using their utility and network to help the individual companies, is they're using their skills in HR and network to try to get us into as many companies and repeat the process. Get into a company, wait for opening, sell their tokens, do it again, do it again, do it again. And for this specific reason, because incentives are not aligned, more and more even reputable companies, VCs, are turning into shitcoin VCs because it's not in their incentive to do so. For example, Paradigm made Uniswap, worked really hard. They're still one of the few really, really good ones. But more or less, most systems will end up to the place where least pressure applies. And in this system, it's like, okay, let's invest here, 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 here. And then they just become predators for allocations. And that's kind of what happened in 2021.
And so these VCs, they're just looking to rinse and repeat. And because they have this opportunity for immediate liquidity, unlike traditional equity, they don't really care to actually build the company up.
Well, I'm not saying that they don't care. I don't want to put words in anybody's mouth. I have some good VC friends. I'm just saying that the system is incentivizing them
Right.
to not act in favor of the company. Whereas the original system very much is so. The interests are aligned, and here the interests are not aligned. They're inverse.
Now, is that, I know that there's certain lockup periods for DAO Maker projects and releases. Could you go into, why are there these lockup periods for certain projects?
Sure. Just like the VCs, the retail have the same incentives. So usually because inflation, most companies start with a low circulating supply and then are very inflationary. I'm actually very much against this. I rather have all this, the projects I manage, I try to have as much circulating supply as possible. Even go to 100% and then make it really deflationary. Now, if you have an inflationary asset, if it goes from 5% to 10% in circulating supply, that's 100% inflation. Which means you're probably incentivized to sell as fast as possible. Maybe not in the bear market, but in the bull market, yes. In the bear market, you open up minus 50%, and then you go up. But in the bull market, it's the other way around. It's market inefficiency. The value DAO Maker provides to these companies, besides the incubation process and all the things I explained before, but purely the users, is a business model. We do help small retail people to make money, but at the same time, they are the product in a sense because we provide community. Instead of telling these clients don't get one VC which doesn't do anything, at least get 1,000 people, then you have a good community. Because the small guys will value that they won their allocation. Because now they have something which they're not used to. They have a good amount of money. It's a world-changing event for them. And I know this because I've been through this myself. And I know the process of having thousands of little warriors which all have your coin now. And just like the Bitcoin maxis who are toxic and telling everything else is shit, well, they say everything is shit because they have a lot of Bitcoin. If they had a lot of Ethereum, there would be Ethereum maxis. This is just, they are working towards their self-interest. And then they try to take their own little logics to the next level. This process of giving somebody a bag of tokens so that he can use this bag to pump his bag by just saying, hey, I have Bitcoin, you should buy Bitcoin too, because it's great now, because it's going to pump my bag. But you're not going to tell him it's going to pump your bag. You're going to be like, oh, it's inflationary, it's world changing, all kinds of reasons. But the reason you're doing it is because you want to pump your bag, even if you don't know it.
Right.
And this idea of people wanting to promote their own tokens can be used by any tokenized asset. And if you have only one VC, which wants to rinse and repeat, it's kind of useless. So better take that $200,000, $400,000, $1 million and make a lot of people rich. Because if you make a lot of people rich, then they will all tell their friends that I got rich for this. And their friends want to get rich too. And they're going to buy into it.
So the primary idea of this token release schedule is so that more people can get their hands on the token, building out the community?
Well, community is the most important aspect from a decentralized ecosystem. Because you need to have a threshold of holders, otherwise one person can destroy the price. You need volume. Everything is defined by exchanges here. Two VCs will not make any volume. VCs don't make any volume, right? Because they're supposed to hold. They don't if they're even supposed to do what they're supposed to do, which they don't, they do the opposite of what they're supposed to do.
Right.
You want to have volume as a crypto asset because the more volume you have, the more likely you're going to get on more exchanges, which means more visibility to your product, more user base. If you have 1,000 people who tell their friends, you're going to get more volume. That's a key aspect of any cryptocurrency. And this is why we're slowly but gradually getting more and more people. The argument why people don't want to give all the allocation to launchpads is because they say retail are useless. We disagree. We think, well, VCs are useless for sure. And retail is a little bit less useless nowadays because projects have a hard time. I run a crypto project and we want to believe that there's going to be a lot of people who care about our project the way we do. But the hard reality is they don't really. The ones which really do care is those small retails which you just change your life. They will be always in debt psychologically to you, and maybe 1 or 2% will become hardcore community. Not a single VC. The few VCs which are really good, like Paradigm, for example, Framework, Polychain, they want to have the whole pot. They want to have all the allocation. Because they say, if we do all the work and everybody else is useless, we own the company. And that makes sense. So there's a few select companies which are like really, really good, but then you don't get into it.
Right, right. So it's providing a community, and at the end of the day, the community is what builds up these decentralized projects because that's what decentralized is. You need a community, otherwise it doesn't exist because there isn't that core entity. Now, so DAO Maker, you guys have been around for a little bit, and you have a history.
Because we try to make DAOs, we try to make communities.
Yeah. So what are some of the specific projects that illustrate, some of the DAO Maker success stories?
Yeah, sure. So here in the back, let's just go through this. What do we have here? So over there is that's Elrond. You see this? The nodes.
Hell yeah.
Elrond is really well known. Right? This is a cool sticker. Um, and when we started with Elrond, we're a very small company, and we didn't incubate Elrond, but we were not really an incubator at the time. But we substantially helped them with the marketing and getting out there. It was a group of very talented technologists from Romania, but they were building a fast blockchain. And in 2018, people had enough of fucking fast blockchains. It was a fucking fast blockchains was like the launch pads of 2021. So if you tell people nowadays, you're like, my launchpad is different, he's gonna roll your eyes. If I tell it, okay, my launchpad is established, but imagine you have like a really good launchpad and you want to launch now that you've been working for 2 years.
Mhm.
That's kind of situation of 2018. All these fast layer one blockchains came out, they were all scammed. So what we tried to do is we just tried to convince people that this is actually a legit company and it's going to go into the top 50 in the next 2-3 years. So we did the whole branding. We came up with the Elrond strategy, Elrond network. Elrond is the lead elf of Lord of the Rings. The
Okay.
one who gives, right? There's a House of Elrond, in the movies. It's where they are nursed back to life.
You a Lord of the Rings
So we
guy?
came. No, but Elrond guys are, right? That's why they called their company after they bought Elrond.com.
Hmm.
They called their company after the lead elf, which was supposed to be the wisest of all to lead all different races into prosperity. Whatever. We created the narrative, made people engage into this, made people slowly believe that this is actually not just another scam, and just promoted them, marketed them until they became very popular and Binance wanted to list them. And from a moment where nobody wanted to raise funds for them for 2 years, within 3 months of DAO Maker, they became the most demanded IEO of all time to date. That's one example. Another example is Orion Network. I think a lot of people know Orion Protocol.
Uh-huh.
You know Orion?
Yep.
It's still in the infancy. It's about a year younger than Elrond, but we hope that it's going to be equally successful. Similar situation. Guys couldn't raise money, have a very brilliant developer, brilliant idea. We looked into everything, and we ensured that people understand that this is not a scam. That's what we have always been into. Our business model has always been find good shit and make other people believe it.
Hmm. And then that's what
And then we just get better.
you were successfully able to do that with both of those projects. And now, what other projects does DAO Maker have coming up that maybe people should keep an eye on or get a little excited
Yeah,
about?
sure. So usually when you go to our website, DAOmaker.com, you see all the upcoming ones. But we have a good amount of companies which haven't been announced yet because the market is a bit lower. And we try to only announce companies once we believe that they're ready.
Hmm.
Because the moment we announce them, there's a lot of inflow of people. And we want to make sure that whatever these new people come, that they see is good.
Hmm.
So we usually prepare a company up almost 1 month before we even announce it. I think Opulus is very interesting because it's Dito Music, so it's the label that owns Ed Sheeran. We're working with a lot of NFT companies which have tremendous impact. A lot of famous people want to promote crypto.
Hmm.
We always like when famous people promote crypto because it makes everybody richer. It's like the Bitcoin example from before.
Hmm.
What else do we have? Let me just take a look. We have actually the Hyperdrive campaign. I think tomorrow, maybe next on Monday, we're going to announce something called DAO Data, which is really cool. It's going to be the first place where you can find real-time inflation data on unlocks based on the blockchain, which is something very much missing. So if you want to buy into a small cap altcoin, the number one indicator of price is the inflation rate. When the team gets their tokens, when the pre-sale investors get their tokens, and we create the vesting contracts. So we are able to give you an exact timer on the block when the next tokens are released, which is probably the most important thing you need to trade them. And for whatever reason, Misari, your coin Gecko, CoinMarketCap haven't really produced this one really, really cool piece of evidence, like information. And we're going to provide this to all our users via API to boost trading volume. Because okay, in 27 days, this is going to probably dump.
So it'll be an
So if
indicator.
27 days of profits.
It's a project that's like an indicator for facilitating.
You will see. Just go on any of our research pages, and you will just see like coin list. It will look like CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, just like with useful information. Like if you want to know, like, okay, this is like, for example, you have a liquidity lock, and the liquidity tokens are locked for like 6 months, and the 6 month is coming up in 13 days. Then in 13 days you might get a rug pull. You might not, but at least until 13 for the next 12 days you're safe for sure.
Right. So
that's really, really important information.
And that's what this project is going to be able to do.
Yeah, this is the next thing is the DAO data, and then we're also providing DAO farms. And the biggest lately news, which was a bit underwhelming because the market, was DAO Chain Maker Kit.
Okay.
So we have BSC Maker, Tron Maker. It's the entire DAO ecosystem label, all our tools, smart contracts. Anybody can plug into these if they are approved. So when the team comes to us, they say we want to build our own DAO Maker on Terra or on BSC. We vet the team, we train the team so that they can build up these new chains. So we're working with Avalabs, with Tron, with BSC. I think a bunch of guys, from Pablo, he was just there.
Right.
So when people come to us, we say, okay, you guys are legitimate. You can use your technology. We will train you so that you will build up this young chain with all the things you need to turn into a BSC 2.0.
The amount of activity that DAO Maker, you guys, you said it in the beginning, like what separates DAO Maker, and you're like, we work harder than people. And there's a clear indication that your team is grinding and working. And one of the things, like, I'm working on running, business, starting up, the incubator, whatever it is. Now, what do you think is there's DAO Maker, there's a world where DAO Maker doesn't succeed, right? What do you think is the biggest threat, or what the biggest, the highest potential way that DAO Maker could fail?
Regulation. Aggressive regulation. We're working very much to utilize and leverage regulation. For example, right now in Korea, you need to have an exchange report to get listed. So we're talking directly to Korean government to be like, well, you need a DAO Maker report to get listed. Regulation can be beneficial or not, because it can kill your competition if you position yourself correctly. But maybe in a year, token sales will just be illegal.
Right.
Straight up, right? There's a good chance it's going to happen. We try our best to be like, well, it shouldn't be illegal because it's good for people, it's good for society, and you need people like us to consult you, because in the end, you're not going to change anything. You're just going to take away the due diligence and the gatekeepers and all the shit. The people who want to get scammed will still get scammed on baby Dogecoin.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's realistic, because governments are there to get more votes. That's the truth. And I think it's not a bad game theory. They do this by protecting people. They don't really care about people. They want to keep in power. But to get power, they need to have the votes. To get the votes, they need to protect people. I do believe that we are talking to law firms, etc., to tell people in the EU, especially in here, we're very much Europe focused, to be like, well, we know our shit, right? We can consult you, and we're reaching out to them preemptively to be like, well, don't shut us down, because it's gonna shoot you in the leg, and then in a year or two, you'll be like, fuck, we should have done that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the regulation's always like the elephant in the room, with all of crypto, because we don't know what can happen. We don't know where it's going to go. I like the world where, obviously, me and you both, I like the world where there's less regulation, because I think a world where they truly try and regulate it and they successfully do it is a scary world, because it's hard to regulate crypto. It's like regulating the internet, and I don't want a world where our internet.
Regulate the internet.
Huh?
They did regulate. They managed to regulate the internet. It just took them quite a long time.
The more and more regulate, it's scary now. So that's one of the potential ways DAO Maker could fail. What are the reasons why DAO Maker truly will succeed?
Because we work harder than others. That's it, right? It's simple. Because success is opportunity and chance. And if you work harder, you increase your opportunity and your chance. And then you just have the breakthrough. in the end, there's a lot of things that can go wrong all the time. Even like today, we had a big fuck up. I said, just putting out the fires. But most companies do fail in crypto, at least because they give up. I'd say 98, 99%. They're just like, okay, we give up. I don't really think we can give up because we're really good at what we do. And if we would stop doing what we would do, we would all be pretty bored. We've been doing this for 3-4 years, and I don't really see a new environment where most of the executive guys or the even higher level team members would just stop doing crypto. And as long as they're in crypto, they're in DAO Maker because DAO Maker
Right.
is a prestigious fucking company.
Right.
Um, we often try, some of our team members do get, a lot of people try to like steal the people,
Hmm.
but I think that's also a big threat. Realistically, people, partners leaving or people getting stolen happens all the time. But if you have proper leadership and build up loyalty, then that's something that you can prevent preemptively.
Hmm.
Next likely scenario is you run out of money. We actually have a market making and treasury management department, which not only manages our money, but it helps these developers. So if a company who is mainly the devs, they raise $3 million, they don't know how to spend that money. They might just fuck it up. So we have multiple distribution of fund management tools and risk management tools, which help our clients to make sure that they not run out of money. So I hope we will also not run out of money. You never know. This job
Right.
is hard.
It's not
Shit is
easy.
hard.
No, it's not easy. And yeah, the work, I mean, you said it yourself, the harder you work, the luckier you get.
Okay.
And,
Exactly.
luck is when preparation meets opportunity. And it seems like you guys
Yeah.
are grinding over there at DAO Maker. Um, Now, is there any project that people might have not heard about? I know we spoke a lot about just these different projects, but any diamond in the rough project that you see coming out from DAO Maker?
Yeah, sure. Let me see. Can I switch the camera? Yeah, flip camera. Look at this. Nice, huh? You see the screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
So, so this is pretty good because 20% of all the tokens go to DAO holders. So every time someone uses the chain maker kit of DAO Maker, 20% of the supply goes to DAO tokens over 1 or 2 years, which pegs the entire ecosystem back to DAO, which is really, really powerful. Um, we have now one, but hopefully we'll have like 20. So 20 companies slowly feeding back to DAO Maker. I believe that these two are really good, BBS network. So I'm working very close with these guys. The founder is the inventor of AMMs. So if anybody is using PancakeSwap or Uniswap, it's because of this guy. I believe that AMMs are really the first proper innovation in the entire industry. Everything else is just a copy paste of finances. AMMs is like a really true crypto innovation.
Hmm.
So this guy is pretty smart. They are rebuilding Reddit by having every single Reddit post be an NFT which you can own. And if you own this post, you can monitor it and sponsor it. So the NFT's purpose is just to go up the ranking. So I do believe that's a really good use case for NFTs. Opulus is really, really powerful because the Stito Music is a gigantic music
You
label.
you
I guess
mind
they have
zooming
Ed
in a
Sheeran.
touch? Beautiful. Sorry, go ahead.
Right. So this is Ed Sheeran is #1 musician for like the last 5 years. So they can really touch a lot of people. We're very proud to be working with this company. What else? The rest is not announced yet. From the ones we did have, maybe this one is quite interesting. Open Ocean. They have backing from every single major investor. So we have Binance, Huobi, Multicoin, Kinetic, DAO Maker, and I think a lot of people know Epic because that was pushed a lot in TikTok.
Yeah.
Whereas Epic, so maybe Epic is really, really strong. We generally try to make all our clients all our clients should be good, but some of them do stand out.
Right. I see Bacon DAO
Yeah,
there. My buddy Virtual
yeah,
Bacon.
yeah. Bacon DAO is here, and we haven't launched yet. There's Coin Fever, and then I guess there's a lot of your friends to be honest.
There's my guys Pablo, and then I think Lucas is there, right?
Yeah, over here.
My guys.
So I think, well, let me think. What do we have? We have 4 decent sized companies coming out very soon. We're just like trying to do this,
Hmm.
and I think 2 of them are pretty big.
So some just people are asking in the chat, and I know you're a busy guy, so I don't want to hold you too long. And it is Friday night.
Friday evening, I have nothing else to do
Y-
than be in the office.
Are you working tonight?
No, they're just waiting. I have like, there's the first Long Island iced tea, and here's the second Long Island iced tea, which has been waiting for me for a while.
Hell
The guys
yeah.
in the other room.
Well, I'm actually in Long Island right now.
Well,
So
that's yeah. Is that what it? Yeah, that actually makes sense. That's New York.
yeah,
Our
that's
co-founder is from Long Island.
what was that?
So my co-founder,
Your
my
co-founder is?
co-founder, yeah, he studied at Long Island High.
Oh shit.
I don't know, but he's from Long. I think he lived there for 10 years.
Oh shit. Look at that. From across the world, you're drinking a Long Island iced tea. I happen to be sitting in a basement in Long Island, having a good time, getting a little buzz going. So now, just to people who are just coming in and they're asking these questions, how does somebody get involved with DAO Maker?
Yeah. So everything in the company is always surrounding the token, but we also provide a lot of information outside the token. So the research pages, if you want to trade any of our currencies on KuCoin, Gate, Binance, whatever, most of the traffic still comes from people who do not buy DAO. They just want to learn about the research pages. As mentioned before, actually, let me show you this because it's going to come out soon, and you know what? I might as well present this here. How do you get involved? So if you are very much into trading, so what you see here is, you see it clearly?
Yep.
So this is showcase, for example, and here you can see exactly the unlocks, the unlock distribution, how things turn out. Let me just see the inflation rate, and down here you will even see the exact time. So you can see here community sale. There will be a 15% inflation coming out in 17 days and 3 hours. So anybody who wants to trade small cap altcoins is really, I think DAO Maker is trying to become more and more important for these people, for this niche market. If they don't want to buy the DAO token. And we're just constantly building out more tools. But DAO Maker is an ecosystem. So if you want to get in touch with any of the coins, you are still touching us. If you want to get more involved in DAO, well, holding DAO and then putting the DAO tokens into our vaults is really the starting point. So currently we have 3 vaults running. Actually, let me show you. So this is actually starting today. So when you go here to DAO vaults, which is like staking vault, you can earn yield, you can earn blank, and there's gonna be a lot more.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, if you click here on blank token, it will open up the data page, the research page, etc. Please wait a bit. This is, like I said, this is still in development. It's gonna go up, I think, tomorrow. Let me see if it's already on. I'm not even sure. No, it's not. So essentially, anybody having DAO, they can stake DAO, and they can earn any token in the ecosystem via farming, even long after the sale. Which is something a lot of people don't know. Which is like, it's again yielding token. And we are building out a lot more features for building out the ecosystem, but step by step. And the most important thing right now is if you have DAO and you put it into one of these vaults, no matter which one, you will receive 20% of all the companies which use the Chainmaker kit. So if you wanna, like, let's say if you and a bunch of friends wanna get together and build up Terra because you like Terra, then we can talk to the Terra team. We actually spoke to them a bunch of times. We can connect you and see if we can build out the Terra. And we will try to see who wants to do this and see if they're qualified, and if they're vetting, then we will provide our white label solutions. The important thing is this Infinity Pad here, for example, is built on DAO tech, and anybody building on DAO tech automatically taps into the KYC user base of the DAO ecosystem. So if you want to build out any tooling for Terra and it requires KYC, you have automatically all the KYC user base, which is like 300,000 people, and all the registered users, which is almost 1 million people, of DAO. And that way we try to scale out everything in case regulation comes. We will have a pretty impressive KYC user base that we can use AMMs, etc. Cool, I think that's it.
So those are all the different like add-ins and stuff. Now, if somebody just wanted to get an opportunity to be part of a DAO Maker show, do they just have to sign up on your website? How do they do that?
Yeah, so like I said, everything starts in the vaults. So you have to buy DAO, which is good. We don't actually have any losers. We did for some time because we didn't have vaults, but now we have vaults again. Losers means people don't have money or don't make money. In order to participate in the sales, into the lottery tickets, you're forced to farm other tokens. So that means you can put DAO and you can now farm DAO. Or you can put DAO into Yield, it's a client, or Blank Wallet, it's another client, or Epic, it's a famous client. So in order to participate in future sales, you are forced to farm Epic or whatever other one you want to choose, which means you're always going to be winning something, like a small prize.
Mm-hmm.
But you will also be given this thing called DAO power, which you can see in your profile. And DAO power is a system, one DAO is one DAO power. There's other ways to get DAO power in the future. You can do a liquidity mining, you get 2x DAO power. So if you have one DAO, you get 2 DAO. In the future, we're building out a tool which we already announced. It's called the Venture Vaults, which is really cool. A lot of people don't want to stake DAO to get into sales because they think DAOs, they're bearish on DAO.
Mm-hmm.
They rather stake stablecoin. So the Venture Vault is a product that we're hopefully going to roll out in August. Most likely in August, actually. Realistically in August. Which allows anybody to stake USDC or USDT. These tokens will then go to Yearn or Curve. In Curve, we will then use the Curve which is farmed to buy DAO and burn it. And in exchange for your locking up USDT for 1 year. So if you lock USDT for 1 year to make, so an average APR will generate 500 DAO, which is the minimum ticket, then you will get 500 DAO. So long story short, people will be able to get DAO power without actually having DAO by just locking up stablecoins, and the yield will then buy DAO through DeFi and burn it, and then opening up the DAO ecosystem to a lot more users while still benefiting the DAO token. There's a lot of cool stuff with that.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can actually get DAO power, and
Yeah.
this DAO power gives you an opportunity to win a show.
Yeah.
And so basically you have to sign up on DAO Maker, which has a KYC process, and then start getting DAO power, which you can do by staking, depositing stable coins, a bunch of these different things. And now this DAO power gives you an opportunity to then take part in a show.
Exactly. And then we will also have DAO power for hoodies, etc. Actually, I'm going to show you. It's right there. We just
You got
it
some
in.
drip?
We just got it in today.
It's a big day for DAO Maker.
You see this?
Look at you.
It's the mascot.
That's the drip.
Just got the drip in. Anyway,
you wearing that out tonight?
The guys are waiting for me. No, I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? I was in Amsterdam last weekend. It was actually a lot of fun. I needed a break. First
Hell
weekend
yeah.
in like a month.
Are the coffee shops open in Amsterdam?
They are.
Are you?
They are.
Do you drink coffee, quote unquote?
Did I drink coffee? Yeah, I did drink coffee, quote unquote. I was invited.
Well,
by coffee shop owners.
Huh?
I was invited by the coffee shop owners.
And I'm sure you drank a lot of coffee.
No, not that much.
Not that much?
Not that much.
I love it. I love it. So it's Friday night for you, and I appreciate you hopping on here. I learned a ton about DAO Maker, the future of VCs, and why maybe they're not the best for the world and for the general public. Also the importance of community and how crypto projects, truly they're decentralized, and you need a community to prop it up. Otherwise, there really isn't that backbone that supports it. And DAO Maker, they're in it for the long run. They're not trying to do this, short, quick thing. We're here. They're here for a long time and a good time. And yeah, anything else you'd like to say? And before hopping off?
Well, I see some questions multiple times. I'm like, yeah, if you stake DAO in the vault, you will get the iPad airdrop. I think that's like the main question. Like, how do I get the airdrop?
So
just have the DAO.
Yeah. How do you get the airdrop of iPad?
Yeah. You have to stake in any of the vaults. So today there's only DAO, but tomorrow there will be Yield, Blank, and the next week will be Epic. It means that you will be farming any one of our clients using DAO tokens. If you do this until tomorrow is the deadline, I think it's the 10th, you can qualify for the airdrop.
Awesome. Any other questions on your end?
No, it was great. Thanks for having me. I actually enjoyed this very much. I'm a bit tired. It was a long day, but really it was enjoyable.
Hell yeah, Thanks I appreciate it. I'm sure we'll talk soon. Yeah, have a great rest of your night. Maybe try and get some sleep. Putting out fires can be stressful, I'm sure. But thank you for hopping on. And thank you, everybody who is listening to this. On my end, we're going to be doing kind of a breakdown. If you have any questions, we're going to go over to the Incubator Discord and chat there. If you're not part of that Discord, click the link in my TikTok bio, and we're going to be talking, we're chatting up in there. So head over there. It's entirely free. Thank you for hopping on here again, and we'll talk soon. Have a great weekend. I need to start mine.
Thanks. Bye bye.
Have a good
Bye
one.
guys.